The lights dimmed. The crowd buzzed with excitement. On the massive stage stood 4 judges. Simon Cowell, known for his sharp wit and piercing honesty. Liza Manalo, the Filipino pop icon. Jay Park, the Korean-American star. And Lisa Longa, the Broadway legend. The host's voice echoed through the arena. Next up, from Cebu City, please welcome, Manuel Dela Cruz. The crowd clapped politely as a thin man in his late 30s walked nervously to the microphone. His clothes were clean but worn, his shoes slightly torn at the edges. He clutched the mic with trembling hands but smiled shyly as he looked around the massive room. Simon raised an eyebrow. "Hello there. What's your name, sir?" The man cleared his throat. "Good evening, Sir Simon. My name is Manuel Dela Cruz. I'm from Cebu City, Philippines." Simon smiled faintly. "Cebu, huh, beautiful place. What will you be doing for us tonight?" Manuel hesitated for a moment, then said softly, "I'll be doing stand-up comedy, sir. But, with a little bit of my story too." The audience chuckled. Lee leaned forward, curious. "We love that. Go ahead, Manuel. The stage is yours." Manuel took a deep breath, looked down for a second, then began. "So, I used to be a construction worker," he said. "Which means, my abs are just hiding under my rice belly." The crowd laughed. Simon chuckled, the corners of his mouth curving up. Manuel continued, growing a bit more confident. In construction, I learned something very important. If your boss shouts at you, it's okay. But if the cement mixer shouts back, you need a vacation." The audience roared with laughter. Even Simon covered his mouth, trying not to laugh too loudly. Jay Park leaned over to Liza, whispering, "He's got timing." Manuel smiled, feeding off the laughter. "Sometimes I tell my son, Anik, study hard, so one day you can have a job where you can sit in aircon like Simon Cowell." Simon burst out laughing, shaking his head. "You're cheeky, I like that," he said through laughter. Manuel grinned. "Sir Simon, I told my wife I'd be performing for you. She said, make him laugh. I said, I'll try, but if he doesn't laugh, I'll tell him his face looks serious even in sleep." The crowd erupted. Simon laughed so hard he leaned back in his chair, clapping. The laughter went on for several seconds. Manuel's energy filled the entire hall. Every line, every pause, every expression was pure, real, and filled with innocence. But then, his tone shifted slightly. He smiled, but his eyes softened. "Comedy saved me," he said quietly, almost to himself. "You see, when you have nothing, laughter is all you can afford. I used to make jokes on the street just to get some coins. Sometimes people gave food instead. But I wasn't just trying to be funny, I was trying to forget that my son was sick in the hospital." The audience fell silent. Even Simon's smile faded slightly, his eyes studying Manuel. Manuel continued, voice trembling just a little. "My boy, Angelo, was born with a weak heart. He loved to laugh. Even when he was in pain, he'd say, 'Papa, tell me a joke.' I told him everything. About our old shoes, our broken TV, even our rice that needed more rice to look like rice." The audience laughed softly, tears glistening in their eyes. Manuel took another breath. He laughed every time. But when he passed away 3 years ago, I stopped laughing. I thought I'd never tell another joke again. Until one day, I heard a kid in our neighborhood crying. I told him a silly joke, and he laughed. For a moment, I saw my son smile again. That's when I realized, laughter doesn't die. It travels from one heart to another. The hall was silent. Lisa Longa wiped her eyes. Liza pressed her hand to her chest. Simon blinked several times, visibly emotional. His voice softened. "Manuel, that was beautiful." Manuel smiled humbly. "Thank you, sir. I just wanted to make people happy, the way my son made me happy. I may not have money, but I have stories, and jokes, and love. And maybe, that's enough." Simon looked at him for a long moment, then smiled warmly. "You know what's funny," he said. "I was laughing like crazy at your jokes. But now I realize, behind that laughter, you've shared something powerful. You've reminded us why laughter matters. It heals, it connects, and it honors those we've loved." The audience began clapping, slowly building into a standing ovation. Manuel's eyes glistened with tears. Lee spoke next, voice full of admiration. Manuel, I think your son is watching tonight, proud of his father for making the world laugh again. Manuel nodded softly. Thank you, ma'am. I hope so. Every laugh tonight was for him. Simon leaned forward. Manuel, he said, his voice almost trembling, I've seen thousands of performers. But you reminded me that true comedy isn't just about jokes. It's about heart. And you, my friend, have one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen. The crowd erupted again. Simon looked toward the golden buzzer, his hand hovering over it. The audience sensed it, their excitement rising. Manuel stared, speechless, covering his mouth. Simon smiled. This one's for Angelo, and for every father who turns pain into laughter. He slammed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti exploded from above, swirling around Manuel as tears streamed down his face. The audience screamed and cheered, chanting his name. Manuel fell to his knees, looking up, hands trembling as he whispered, Thank you, son, this is for you. Simon stood and walked onto the stage, something he rarely did. He hugged Manuel tightly, the crowd roaring louder than ever. You're amazing, Simon whispered. You made me laugh, and you made me feel. Backstage, the cameras followed Manuel as he embraced the host. His laughter echoed, mixed with sobs of joy. I can't believe it, he said. I just wanted to make people smile, and now, my son's smile is everywhere. Clips of the performance spread across social media. Within hours, millions of people watched the video of the poor Filipino comedian who made Simon Cowell laugh and cry in the same night. Comments flooded in. This is the most touching audition ever. I laughed and cried at the same time. He deserves the world. Days later, AGT Pilipinas invited Manuel for a special interview. He sat on a small couch, still in disbelief. I don't know how to explain it, he said. When Simon pressed that golden buzzer, it was like hearing my son's laughter again. For me, that was the real prize. Simon appeared via video call, smiling warmly. Manuel, you reminded all of us that the best comedians aren't the ones who make us forget our pain, they're the ones who help us heal from it. Manuel bowed his head. Thank you, sir. I just hope I can keep making people laugh, because laughter, it's love wearing a funny face. Weeks later, Manuel returned for the semifinals. The audience welcomed him like a hero. He stepped onto the stage again, holding a small photo of Angelo in his pocket. He began his new routine, still full of laughter, but now even more confident, more alive. His jokes were about life, hope, and family. The crowd roared again and again. Simon laughed harder than before, wiping tears of laughter from his eyes. But near the end, Manuel ended with a line that silenced the entire hall. You know what's funny, he said softly. I used to pray for money. Now I just pray for moments like this, where laughter reminds me that my son's love never left. The crowd stood once more. Thunderous applause filling the air. Simon clapped slowly, deeply moved. Manuel, he said, you've changed this show forever. You're not just a comedian. You're a storyteller, a healer, and a father whose love reached across the world. Months later, even after the season ended, clips of Manuel's performance continued to spread. Schools played them for inspiration. Families shared them at dinner tables. Strangers across the globe quoted his line, "Laughter doesn't die, it travels from one heart to another." Simon later said in an interview, "That night, I laughed until my stomach hurt. But by the end, I was in tears. That man reminded me what this show is truly about, the courage to stand on stage with nothing but truth, pain, and humor." In the final montage, Manuel is seen walking through his neighborhood, surrounded by smiling children. He stops near a small mural painted in memory of his son, a laughing boy holding a microphone. He places a single white flower beneath it and smiles softly. "We did it, Angelo," he whispers. People are laughing again. The video ends with the sound of laughter echoing into the distance, blending with applause. And as the narrator's voice returns, gentle and warm, it closes with a message that lingers in every heart that hears it. Sometimes, the people who make us laugh the hardest are the ones who've cried the most. And sometimes, a man who has lost everything can still give the world something priceless, joy. If you were moved by this story, share it with someone who needs a smile today. Because you never know, Your laughter might just heal another heart.